He looked me in the eyes and did the unthinkable. I still remember that evening like it just happened yesterday. The sky was slowly turning orange, and there was a strange stillness in the air, the kind that makes your heart feel heavy for no reason. I was sitting alone on a bench near the old park where we used to meet, thinking about everything that had changed between us. And then, just as I was about to leave, he appeared. Out of nowhere. After weeks of silence, no calls, no messages, nothing. Just his sudden presence, standing a few steps away from me, like he had never left. He didn't say a word at first. He just stood there, watching me, almost like he was trying to read my thoughts. I looked away, pretending to be unaffected, but inside, my heart was pounding so loud I could barely breathe. He slowly walked over and sat beside me, close, but not too close. The silence between us said more than any words could. I wanted to ask him a million questions, scream, cry, but I couldn't move. And then he turned to me. He looked me straight in the eyes, not angrily, not sadly, but with a calm that scared me more than anything else. There was something in his gaze, something final, something I couldn't understand. I opened my mouth to speak, but before I could say a word, he did something that I never saw coming. Something that changed everything between us, forever. I wish I could say I handled it well. I wish I could say I was prepared. But nothing could have prepared me for what he did next. And that moment, that one moment, still haunts me every single day. He reached into his pocket, slowly, like he was unsure of what he was about to do. My eyes followed every movement, and for a second, I thought he was going to hand me a letter, or maybe a photograph, something that would explain everything. But instead, he pulled out a small, worn-out key. He placed it gently in my hand without saying a single word. I looked down at it, confused, trying to make sense of what it meant. My mind started racing. Was this some kind of message? Was it to the storage box we once shared? The old apartment? Or something else entirely? He still hadn't said anything, and I could feel the tension between us building like a storm that refuses to break. I wanted to ask so many things. Where had he been all this time? Why now? And what was I supposed to do with that key? But something about his expression stopped me. It wasn't anger. It wasn't guilt.
It was regret.
And something even deeper, like sorrow tied up in silence. I looked at him again, and in that moment, flashes of our past started flooding back. The late-night calls. The long walks with no destination. The way he used to laugh at the smallest things. And then the slow fading. The unanswered messages. The distance. The sudden coldness I never understood. None of it had ever made sense. Not until now. But even now, nothing was clear. He finally spoke, just one sentence, soft and careful. I need you to trust me just one last time. My heart dropped. One last time?
Why?
What was he about to do? Before I could respond, he stood up and backed away, slowly, like he didn't want to make it harder than it already was. I stood too, desperate for answers, but he just looked at me again, like he was memorizing my face, and turned around. I stood there frozen, the key still in my hand, my mind spinning in every direction. What was I supposed to do now? Was this goodbye? A warning? Or the beginning of something much darker? All I knew was that whatever this was, it wasn't over yet, and something told me the real story hadn't even begun. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept turning the key over in my hand, staring at it like it would somehow unlock the answers spinning in my head.
Why now?
Why after all this time? And what did he mean by one last time? I hadn't seen or heard from him in months. People move on, people disappear, but he vanished without a trace, like a chapter ripped out of a book.
No closure, no explanation.
Just gone. The next morning, I went back to the places we used to visit. I walked past the cafe, where we spent hours talking about nothing and everything. The corner bookstore where he once left me a note in a poetry book. But none of it gave me the answers I needed. Every place felt like a ghost of what used to be. It was like chasing memories that didn't want to be found. Later that day, I got a message. Unknown number. Just an address, nothing else. I froze. My heart started racing again. the same way it did when he handed me that key. Something told me the two were connected. But what waited for me there? I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being pulled into something deeper than I understood. And yet, I had to go. Meanwhile, my best friend, Sarah, noticed I was slipping away again. Mentally, emotionally. She had seen me go through everything once before, and now I was back in the same cycle. I didn't want to lie to her, but I also couldn't explain what I didn't understand myself. She warned me. Some doors, once opened, don't close the same way. But I was already too far in. The night before I decided to go to the address, I found something strange in my room. An old voice note he had once sent, somehow undelete, playing by itself from my phone. I hadn't touched it. The message was muffled, broken, like interference, but one part was clear. If you find the box, don't open it alone. That sentence hit me like a wave. The box.
The key.
The address. It all connected. But to what? What had he gotten involved in? And why was I being pulled back into it? Every part of me wanted to run, but the part that still remembered who he was couldn't let go. Not yet. The next morning felt heavier than usual. The sky was cloudy, not dark, just gray, like it was holding something back, just like me. I held the key in my hand the whole time as I stood outside the address from the message. It was a small, rundown storage unit on the edge of town, the kind of place people forget about. Everything around it looked abandoned, but somehow I knew whatever was inside wasn't. I hesitated at the door for a while. My fingers shook as I slid the key into the lock. My heart was beating so loud I could hear it in my ears. Before I even turned the key, I asked myself again, why was I doing this? Was it love? Closure? Curiosity? Or something deeper I wasn't ready to admit? The lock clicked and the door creaked open, revealing a cold, dim space with a single metal box placed right in the center of the room. I stepped inside slowly. The silence was louder than anything I had ever heard. I kept hearing his voice from that old recording. Don't open it alone. But I was alone. I had to be. No one else could understand what this meant. No one else had lived through the pieces of this story like I had. Still, his words haunted me. I stood over the box, staring at it like it might disappear if I blinked. It wasn't locked. No key needed for this part. Just the courage to lift the lid and face whatever truth waited inside. I sat down beside it, trying to breathe, trying to prepare myself for something I couldn't name. Before I could move, I noticed something carved on the top. It was faint but clear enough under the light. Our initials. Mine and his. It took me back to a time when those letters meant something simple, something safe. Now they felt like a code I was too scared to break. Suddenly, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around, but no one was there. I stood up, heart pounding again. The door was still open, wind brushing in, but the hallway outside was empty. Still, I wasn't sure if I was imagining things or if someone was watching. Every sound, every shadow, felt sharper now. I looked at the box one more time. I reached out, then pulled back. I wasn't ready, but something inside me said I had to be. That whatever had started between us didn't end when he walked away. It paused. And now it was back, demanding to be finished. I grabbed my phone, ready to record just in case. Not for the internet. Not for views. But for myself, proof that this all really happened. Right before I touched the lid, a notification lit up my screen. Unknown number again. The message just said, "Leave now." My hands froze. My breath caught in my throat. I looked around, but the silence was louder than before. I wasn't alone. Not anymore. I stood frozen, staring at the message on my screen. "Leave now." 2 words, no name, no explanation, just the kind of warning that makes your entire body go cold. My eyes darted to the hallway again, but it was still empty, still quiet. Too quiet. I took a shaky breath and looked back at the box. Everything in me screamed to turn around, walk out, forget all of this. But something deeper, something I couldn't explain, pushed me to stay. I needed to know what was inside. I needed to understand why he brought me here. Why now? Why like this? Just as I was about to open the lid, I heard it. A click. Not from the box, but from behind me. I spun around so fast, I nearly dropped my phone. The door to the unit was slowly closing. And then, it slammed shut. The echo bounced off the walls like a warning shot. I ran to it, twisted the handle, it was locked. From the outside. I banged on the door, shouted, waited. Nothing. No answer. No sound. My hands were shaking now, not from fear, but from something worse. Realization. This wasn't just a coincidence. This wasn't an accident. Someone had led me here. Someone was watching. And whoever it was, they didn't want me to leave. I turned back toward the box, the metal suddenly looking less like an object and more like a question. My heart was pounding as I slowly lifted the lid. Inside, there were only 3 things: a folded letter, an old photo of the two of us I hadn't seen before, and a second key. But not a house key this time. It looked different, smaller, older. Almost like something that belonged to a safe or a locker. I picked it up, and the weight of it felt strange, heavier than it should have been. Something about it didn't sit right. I unfolded the letter, hands trembling. The handwriting was his. No doubt. But the words weren't what I expected. The letter didn't answer anything. It was full of apologies, yes, but also instructions. If you've made it this far, it said, then there's still time. Go to the place where we first met. Use the second key. Don't trust anyone, not even the ones who say they care. My mind was spinning. Why was he warning me? Who else was involved? And what did he mean by not trusting anyone? My phone buzzed again. Another message. This time it was from Sarah. Just 3 words. Where are you? But something about it felt off. She never texted like that. She always called first. I stared at her name, feeling a twist in my stomach. Could he have meant her? Suddenly, I didn't know who to believe anymore. The person I once trusted most was gone. The one friend I had left might not be who she seems. And I was trapped in a place I didn't understand, holding a key to something I hadn't yet seen. But one thing was clear. The story I thought I knew was only just beginning. The air inside the storage unit felt tighter now, like it knew something was about to happen. I took one last look at the letter, at the second key in my hand, and made a decision. I didn't care who was watching or what kind of game this was. Whatever answers were waiting, I had come too far to turn back. When the door finally clicked open on its own, I didn't question it. I just walked out, heart pounding, every step heavy. I went straight to the place where we first met, an old, almost forgotten library tucked behind a park no one visits anymore. We met there by accident years ago, both reaching for the same book. That day changed everything. I hadn't been back since. The library was quiet, empty. Dust floated in the sunlight, and the floorboards creaked under my feet. I searched the back corner, near the shelves where we first talked. That's when I saw it, a small, rusted locker, built into the wall. I knew it wasn't there before. Not when we used to come here. My hands were sweating as I pulled out the second key and fit it into the lock. It turned with a soft click. Inside was a flash drive. Just that. No letter, no photo, no clue, just the drive. I plugged it into the library computer, unsure what I was about to see. A video loaded. It was him, sitting at a table, looking tired but calm. He started talking. I know you have questions, he said. And I'm sorry I couldn't give you the answers in person. But it wasn't safe. I got involved in something I shouldn't have. It started with one mistake, then a second, and soon I couldn't get out. I thought I could protect you by staying away. But they were always closer than I realized. He paused, then added something that hit me like a punch. The person who told you I left willingly lied to you. The screen went black. Just then, my phone buzzed again. A new message from Sarah. You finally found it. We need to talk. And that's when I knew the twist wasn't that he was hiding something. The twist was so was she. I stared at Sarah's message, my fingers cold, my mind racing. You finally found it. We need to talk. Everything made sense now, how she always seemed too involved, too aware of what I was feeling. The warnings, the timing, the strange text before I went to the storage unit. It wasn't just concern. It was control. She had known more than she let on from the very beginning. Still, I went to meet her. I needed the truth, all of it. We met in the same park bench where I'd seen him that day. She didn't look surprised. In fact, she looked tired, like she had been waiting for this moment too long. I didn't say anything. I just looked at her. And for once, she didn't try to act like everything was fine. "He trusted me to keep you safe," she said quietly. "And I did, but I also lied. I told you he left because he didn't care. That was easier than explaining the danger. I didn't think you'd ever come this far." Her voice shook. They were after him. Not because of money. Not love. But something he found out, something that could hurt powerful people. He walked away to protect you. He asked me to watch you from a distance, just in case. I felt something inside me shift. Anger, sadness, relief, all at once. I didn't know whether to thank her or walk away. But I understood now. The silence wasn't betrayal. It was sacrifice. Before she left, she handed me one last envelope. Inside was a letter from him, written months ago. In it, he thanked me for the memories, for the love, for holding on when he couldn't. He said if I was reading it, it meant I had found the truth, and that now, maybe I could finally move on.
And I did.
Not overnight. Not easily. But slowly, I stopped needing answers. I stopped waiting. I let go, not of the memories, but of the weight they carried. What happened between us was real, even if it didn't end the way I thought it would. Some stories aren't meant to be clean or perfect. Some stories are meant to remind us how deep love can go, how far people will go to protect it, and how sometimes the most unexpected truth is the one that finally sets us free.